quick, just a quick recap on what the Pareto Principle is. It's also known as the 80-20 rule. And basically what this does is, in the course of your day or in the course of your business, the things that you do, you have 100% activities in whatever that takes, right? If you're changing the oil in your car, you know all the steps that you have to go through to change the oil in your car, right? Assuming you want to change oil in your car. So this is the same thing. In real estate sales, there's a million different things we could be doing on a daily basis, right? But what we want to focus on are the things that we do that are going to lead to us actually making money, right? So we want to focus on that small percentage of things, right? That 20% of what we do out of the 100% of our day, the 20% of what we do, that's going to give us the 80% of our results, right? Leverage, like a teeter-totter. Well, we want to put more weight on these 20%. So our first two, number one was lead generation. Right? We already went through lead generation. We talked about it. We gave the example of the landscaping company and, the person that built the beautiful company versus the people that, drove the dumpy-divey trucks. And, which model makes sense? You can build a beautiful business, but if you don't have any leads, you don't have a business. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter, what comes in, what goes out. It doesn't matter. If you don't have a customer to serve, then you're going to be out of business real quick, probably before you even started. Right now, in lead generation, not everybody's ready to convert right away. Sometimes they are. Sometimes, on our very first phone call, we're going to convert them right away. We set the appointment, we go over, we get the listing, boom, sell the property, right? But normally, it involves some level of follow-up. So that was the last training that we just did, was on real estate follow-up, right? You need to have a system to follow up. And if you don't have a follow-up system, then you're definitely leaving money on the table. Right? Why go out and get the lead? Why go out, pay for the lead? Why have the lead come in? You make one phone call, they're not ready, and then you never call them again. Right? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. You have to have a follow-up plan. So once you've generated your lead, closed it or not, once you followed up on that lead, hopefully you close it. The next one that we're going to talk about today is going on appointments. Right? This should be the favorite step. Well, no, actually the last step is going to be your favorite step. Right? Does anybody have any thoughts real quick before we jump into going on appointments? Anything with lead generation, lead follow-up? We can take a moment here, take a pause, and see if you guys have any questions. No questions. Perfect. All right. Well, let's get this cranking then. So you've lead generated, you followed up, you finally got the appointment. Well, now what? Right? What do I do before I go on this listing appointment? Right? A lot of times you're going to feel like this. Right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? So you definitely need a plan before you go into your listing appointment. So there's two types of appointments in real estate. There's a listing appointment and there's a buyer's appointment, right? We're going to talk about both of those today. And this is the umbrella over the listing appointment, right? There's a lot more details inside this listing appointment that we're going to focus on later in future trainings. First, we're going to give you the general idea of what these things are and what it looks like. And then we're going to deep dive into these things and really go into a lot more detail, and just a lot more of the, get a lot more elaborate into what these things are. So it's going to be a little bit general here, but, we're going to move you along here. So what do you do on your listing appointments, right? What's the first thing that you should do? Well, number one, you need to start gathering some information, right? You have to get the information together. Number one, you got to get your property information. So that does include your comparable market analysis, any public records. You want to know who you're sitting across the table from. Stalk your sellers, stalk your customers, hit them on social media, right? Don't friend them, don't let them know you're there, but you want to know who they are, right? So below social media, you see we put the DISC personality profile. Sometimes in their social media, in the public things that you do, you can figure out exactly who it is you're dealing with, right? Are you dealing with a CEO? Are you dealing with an accountant? Are you dealing with, a school secretary or a teacher, right? All of these people speak a different language and they want to be spoken to in a different language. So before you go in and you go meet with these customers, you want to have a best idea as absolutely possible who you're meeting with. And social media is an amazing tool for doing just that, right? So you looked up the property, you looked up the seller, now you need to look up the community, right? I remember when I first started down here, I had no idea where I was in Florida. I would be on the phone, and Google Maps was my best friend. They'd be describing the area, telling me, yeah, there's an animal hospital over here, there's a school over here. I had no idea, right? Fake it till you make it, right? Google Maps is my best friend. Before I would go on a listing appointment, I would drive through that neighborhood. I would always get there 10, 15, 20 minutes early so that I could speak with some level of authority on the neighborhood, right? You'll be on the phone and, oh yeah, they're building a Publix down the street. You should know where that Publix is. You should know, you should know, when that Publix is set to open, right? They don't want to work with somebody that knows nothing about their neighborhood, right? They want to work with somebody who knows their neighborhood and can speak with some level of authority on this appointment, right? So you're going to gather some information. Now, after you've gathered the information, right, you kind of put everything together. What do you do before you go on this appointment, right? Well, you're going to pre-qualify your customer, right? You're going to go through a series of questions with this customer. So hang up, I got the appointment. Okay, great. I'm going to follow up with you the day of the appointment or the morning of the appointment just to confirm that this still works for you. I'll talk to you then. Click, hang up. Right? Confirm in the morning of, you need to confirm the appointment. What do you need to confirm while you're on the appointment? Well, number one, confirm the appointment. Number two, are all the decision makers going to be at the property? Are you going to go to a listing appointment where you look at the deed and the husband and the wife and maybe the son are on the deed, but only the son is home and the son is the one that you set the appointment with, right? Might that be a waste of time? Well, it is. Okay, don't waste your time, right? Another one, this is wonderful when they tell you this. How much do you want to list your house for? How much easier is a listing appointment when you go in and you already know exactly how much they want to list the house for? They'll tell you 100%, like they will tell you. If you ask them the right time. Well, not 100% of the time, not 100% of the people, but more times than you would expect, you're like, whoa, you gave me the number, right? This is amazing information right here. This makes your appointment way, 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 way easier because you already know, they want to list it high. Okay, I need to be prepared to have this conversation. You're going to hit them with every comparable. You're going to explain to them why they need to list it at a different price. List it low. Well, now you're the hero. You're walking in. Well, sir, I know you want to list it for $250,000. I think your house is actually going to sell somewhere in the range of $275,000 to $300,000. You're a hero. If you don't walk out with a listing on that, then I don't know what to tell you, right? And then what price won't you go below? Because the asking price and the sales price, they're not always the same thing, right? Well, we want to list it at $300,000, but we won't go below $280,000. That's good to know, right? Because what if $280,000 is right where they should list it? Look, you told me you won't go below $280,000, $300,000. I think we're going to be in the high end. We'll start there. You're the boss, right? But just so you know, we may end up having
Joe, you're breaking up.
It's like raining like crazy right here, right now. Is it? Can you guys hear me still, or no? Not really.
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay, yeah, it's like super storming right now, so I think I don't know if that's it or not, but it's my excuse. So might not be the reason, but it gives me a good excuse. And then how soon do you want to list your house, right? By when do you want to be in Texas? We wanted to be there last week. Shoot, you're motivated. Let's get this party rocking, right? Sign the contract right now. All right? So that was distracting. So you confirm the appointment. You got the confirmation phone call. Well, now you need to make sure that you're ready for the appointment, right? So let's talk about the listing presentation itself. What goes into the listing presentation and how do you prepare it? Now, just a disclaimer here, this is how I do my listing presentations, right? This is how I set up my listing presentations. Maybe you have a different way. Maybe you have a better way, right? And that's okay. Take what you like and just leave the rest behind. You don't have to do the listing presentations. You don't have to set up your presentations exactly how I set mine up. You can always modify them. You can always change them. These listing presentations for the agents that are for the MX agents, These are in Trello. So you go in there, they're fully customizable. You take our branding, our data out, put your own branding, your data in. Don't take the brokerage logo off of there, but maybe you have your own logo. Maybe it's a team logo, whatever it is. But they're totally customizable. You can put whatever in there. You can change the icons. You can change the wording. So just a disclaimer there. This is the way we set ours up from 1 through whatever. So what's the first thing that we put into our listing presentations, right? We put the legalities up front, right? Copy of the deed, copy of the mortgage. You can get those. Those are public record. You can get those on public record. People don't know it. I've walked into listing appointments with copy of the deed. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, it's you, and I see Brenda, and I see so-and-so. It's on your deed. Da-da-da. Those are your decision makers. Those are the ones that have to sign that listing contract to sell it because they're on the deed. You can't transfer the deed without every signature. But when you print that deed and they see that you found their deed online, some people are impressed, right? So now you gave yourself a little bit of credibility. What about the mortgage, right? Like people don't know that, a lot of mortgages are posted in public records. You go in there, right there, vcpa.net, you go in there, you can find their mortgage. You'll find exactly how much they borrowed. You'll find their down payment. Like you'll know their interest rate, all kinds of, personal information. This is going to give you a ton of credibility when you walk into this appointment. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. You're not going to read the deed to them. You're not going to read the mortgage. You're just going to let them know, like, hey, look, I found these. Here they are. Sometimes we leave them behind for them, right? So you got the deed, you got the mortgage. What else do you want to bring with you in the legal section? You want to bring the tax roll. I use IMAP. You can go to bcpa.net. You can get the tax roll off of there if you want, right? But to me, IMAP is a wealth of information, and it's so much better. If you don't know where to find IMAP, just let me know. If you're not a realtor, you won't be able to find it. But if you're a realtor on any of the local associations, you're definitely going to be able to find it, right? We bring that. Time. What's that?
I use IMAP for everything.
It's amazing, man. I love IMAP. You go on there, you get the building sketch, right? You want to know how many square feet you're dealing with, right? Because later on, when we do a training on how to do a CMA, you're going to find that square footage is probably the most important number that you factor in on your CMA, right? What if the tax roll says it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,800 square foot house, and you walk in and it's got 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, and it feels like this feels more like 2,500 square feet? Wouldn't you want to know if there were illegal additions, illegal modifications? Doesn't that make your job a little bit easier to know that, oh, this used to be a garage and now they illegally converted it into a bedroom? You need to be prepared for that, right? So you're going to bring these legalities with you. You're going to bring this stuff with you so that you come into this whole thing with more knowledge. All right, so you're through the legalities. These are the things that we bring. This should answer every question that I have about ownership, about square footage, about the property, right? It's going to tell me how much they paid, when they paid, their mortgage. It's going to give me the sketch map. It's going to show me where the property sits, right? This is everything you need to know about the property and all of the legal side of that. So once you've done that, what do the owners want to know? Well, they want to know who you are and what you've done. I don't spend a lot of time on this. I leave this behind for them, right? We have a sheet that talks about me, a little bio on me, a little bio on our team, and then some statistics, right? We sell this many houses, this, and then a few reviews and a few testimonials, and then where they can find those. When you put this, we have some newer agents on here. Don't put something that makes, I've sold 2 houses in the last 5 years. Well, that doesn't make sense, right? Like, why you've been an agent for 5 years and you've only sold 2 houses, right? You need to find information that's actually going to build some credibility for you. You don't have a lot of activity yourself. Use the information from the brokerage. Reach out to Irene, reach out to myself, reach out to somebody in the brokerage, and you can say, well, our brokerage has sold, this many houses this year. Maybe you find an agent that in our brokerage that sold a house in that very neighborhood that you're going to be going to. Well, reach out to that agent, right? And see, like, hey, can I use this and show that, hey, our brokerage sold this house in that neighborhood, right? You need to find this information if you're a newer agent. If you're experienced and you've got 1 million sales and 1 million reviews, then it's super easy. But if you're new, you need to build this out in a way that's going to look that's going to shine a positive light on you, and it's not going to make you look like a new and inexperienced agent, right? So we talked about the legalities, talked about who you are, what you've done. Another thing that you're going to want to go over that I don't spend a lot of time on with our sellers is your marketing strategy, right? What's your marketing strategy? That's in our listing presentation. That's exactly what we do when we go on a listing, but that might not be what you do, right? Don't tell them you're going to do something that you're not going to do. That's your number one road to disaster right there. If you say you're going to mail postcards to, the 1,000 nearest homes to this listing, you better mail 1,000 postcards out, because what happens when they find out that you lied to them, right? At best, you lose credibility, you lose trust, right? You lose that leverage that you would have with them. At worst, you lose the listing. You wasted your time. Don't tell them you're going to get professional photos and then walk in there with your iPhone 15 and think, oh, well, it has 3 cameras and they're really good, right? Well, no, you misrepresented, right? You need to be honest with your customers up front. This is exactly what we do. So what we tell them is, there's no silver bullet in marketing. There's no one thing that we do that's going to cause your house necessarily to sell. In fact, there's no one thing that we do that no other agent that walks through that door couldn't do themselves, right? What's the difference between us doing it and the other agent doing it? And it's the way that we execute this plan, right? We have flawless execution on this plan. We get the listing and we take a step to step to step to step to step, right? Lead comes in, they want to see your house. We capture that lead, right? We schedule the appointment, we come look at your property, right? And every step in between, right? But the main thing with your marketing strategy is it can only be things that you're actually going to do, right? Don't lie, don't embellish, don't exaggerate on what you're going to do. Oh, I'm going to spend $100 a week on a Facebook ad campaign. Well, what are you going to do if they say, hey, can you send me the results of that? Ooh, I didn't actually do that, right? Don't lose credibility, right? Just be honest. It's better to set those expectations proper up front than to get caught later not doing what you said you were going to do, right? And then the last thing that you're going to put into your listing presentation, or that we put into our listing presentation, it is the most important thing. This is where we spend all of our time, right? I don't spend time on legalities. I don't spend time on who I am and what I've done. I don't spend time on my marketing plan. I go over those very quickly. I'll leave them behind. You want them? Great, take them, right? What do they care about? How much is my house going to sell, right? What is my house going to sell for? So when we put together a CMA, we're looking at square footage, we're looking at location, we're looking at bedrooms, bathrooms, pools, garages, right? Again, we're going to do another training on a comparable market analysis in and of itself. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is what your sellers care about. Don't waste their time telling them how you're the latest, greatest agent to get your license. I'm the best there is. I'm this. They don't want to hear about you. They want to hear about who you are, how you can sell their house, and how much are you going to sell their house for. And how much you're going to sell their house for is the most important thing. And don't put yourself in a box and lock yourself into a number. Your house is going to sell for $350,000. Well, now how much do they expect their house to sell for? $350,000, right? What if you told them a range? Your house is going to sell from somewhere between $325,000 to $375,000. Where would you like to list your property? 375 is your top number, 325 is your bottom number. You're not so motivated, you have some time, we can put it towards the top. Super motivated, you don't have a lot of time, we better put it closer to the bottom, right? Potentially get a bidding war, sell this thing in a week, right? These are things that you're going to figure out in the conversation, but we do not give one number, right? We give a range. And the range gives us freedom of movement. The range doesn't lock us into any number, and the range is realistic, because you take any 2 buyers out there and you show them the same house, I guarantee you could even send them the same comparable sales before they send the offer or before they give you a number. They're going to come up with a different value on that property, right? 350,000 is your middle number, 325 to 375, you listed at 360. One buyer might be willing to pay full price. The other buyer might only see it's worth $345, right? And what if that full price buyer just left the market yesterday? They went under contract. Now you're going to sell it lower. If you told them it's going to sell for $350, you only have a $340, $345 buyer on the market, right? Now you're waiting. Right? Give them the range. And if they say we want to list it higher, give them the benefit of the doubt, because the last thing you want to do is argue with them, list it higher, and then it goes under contract at the higher price, right? You're going to lose a little bit of credibility. So again, you know, we'll spend a little bit more time on the CMA in the coming weeks in some of our other trainings. So went through all this, you did your CMA, you landed on a price. Well, what's the last most important thing that you need to bring to a listing presentation? Your contracts, right? The last thing you want to do is get to a listing presentation, go through all of this. Oh, wow, agent, that sounds great. Let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and sign with you, and you forgot your listing contracts. Have them filled out, have them ready to go, right? As much as you can fill out ahead of time, you want to bring with you, right? Contracts, and then also the addenda. Now, this is really important, guys. If you have more than one addendum, it is not addendums. It's addenda. The plural form of addendum is addenda. So don't sound dumb and call it addendums, right? Call it addenda. It's really, really important when people, agents email me, here's a contract in the addendums, I lose respect for them, right? Let's at least speak proper when it pertains to our field of expertise, right? If you can't get that right, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know, maybe you're dealing with a teacher and the teacher is gonna, I don't know, correct you, lose a little credibility, right? Addenda, plural form, get used to saying it. Do not say addendums, right? All right, you got the contract. Now let's add some value. Where do we bring value, right? Okay, I know we're going to market it. We're the latest, greatest. We have the greatest marketing plan that anybody ever had. We found all your information on public record. Look at all my 5-star reviews. That must be great, right? But how do you translate that into value to them, right? You're going to give them some value, right? So, hey, maybe you did this in the beginning. You already did a tour of the house. You took some notes, right? You need to tell them how to prepare the house to sell. What's that smell? This is really important, guys. Like, it sounds silly, but I know every single one of us have walked into a house and all of a sudden you're like shocked by the smell that is in that house, and you can't wait to get out of that house. Is a buyer that needs to move in yesterday, needs to move in tomorrow, going to want to buy a house that stinks to holy hell? I doubt it, right? They're going to walk in, they're going to walk right back out. So your job as an agent, number one, look, I don't know how to tell you this, sir, but your house smells like a men's locker room. It smells terrible, sir, and we need to address this. We need to fix it, right? So address the smells. It's hard to do sometimes. Is it in the carpet? Do they have pets? You know, are they smokers? You know, whatever it is. Maybe they just cook with the wrong spices. Tell them, don't have a fish fry the day before a showing or the day of the showing, right? You can't be frying fish, man. Like, it's going to stink up your house. Can you guys still hear me okay? Is this, am I frozen or anything?
No, you're funny though, Joe.
Well, a lot of you on my screen are actually frozen. So I just wanted to make sure I'm not like talking to myself. All right. So no fish fries. Smell is super important, right? After you've talked about the smell and you've figured out the plan, how are we going to get this smell out of this house, right? And if you don't know how to get smells out of the house, come talk to us. We've dealt with them, right? Sometimes there's no hope, but we've sold houses where you know, the person actually died in the house and they were lifetime smokers, and we've been able to get rid of about 95% of that smell, right? So there are strategies, there are things that can be done to get rid of the smell. You're not always going to be able to get rid of 100% of that smell, but you need to address the smell, because the last thing you want is for people to walk in and walk right back out. Oh, how'd that showing go? You know, how was that showing? Oh, well, it didn't really happen. They walked in and your house smelled so bad they went ahead and left. So let's deal with that now. No, just deal with it up front. Be proactive. Don't be reactive, right? So after you've dealt with the smell, then you need to declutter. I tell people, look, your house needs to look like the model home when you go look at new construction, right? Even some of those are a little bit too cluttered for my taste, right? Less is more. Take down all your family pictures, take down your trophies, anything that's personal, take it down, right? Because these people need to be able to visually and mentally move into your house. And if they can't, then you're going to have trouble selling it, right? All right, so we've discussed the smell, just decluttering, upgrades and repairs, right? Kitchens and bathrooms sell houses. What's one of the best, cheapest things that you can do to a house? Paint it, right? That's an instant upgrade, instant facelift on the entire interior of the house. You've heard curb appeal. Well, your house should have a little bit of curb appeal. They should pull up and not want to pull away right away because everything's overgrown and everything looks bad, right? They're going to want move-in ready. How easy is it to do a little bit of gardening, a little bit of landscaping, slap some paint on the door, slap some paint on the porch, right? That's not that hard to do. Weekend project. Look, give your house some curb appeal over the weekend. Maybe you don't have to remodel and upgrade your entire bathroom. Maybe they just need a new vanity or a new shower fixture or new caulk, right? Look at the caulk. Does that need to be redone, right? Is it all moldy and gross looking? Well, tear that out and put fresh caulk. These are small, simple, and effective strategies to sell a property to give it this little facelift, right? You need to walk around the house and you need to show some care and concern for the property that you're about to list. Don't tell them, well, you need to gut this entire bathroom down to the studs and put a brand new bathroom in. Not everybody has $18,000 laying around to put a high-end bathroom in. Give them little simple things that they can do. Discuss the budget. How much money do you have to spend? Have a handyman ready to go to knock all of this stuff out for them, right? They have carpet that stinks and is disgusting. Well, maybe they should replace it with a laminate, right? Do the floors need to be prepped before the new floors go in? Maybe they need to put some kills down to cover the smell. Have a plan. Give them the plan. We are the professionals. We are the experts. We are the ones that are teaching them how to sell a house. They've never sold it. It may be common sense to us, but it's not common sense to them. Talk to a brain surgeon about the human brain, and he'll talk to you like an idiot, and you'll feel really dumb after you talk to him because you don't understand the human brain on the level that he does, right? And the simplest, most basic level that this individual understands the brain, we have no idea. It's the same thing for us, right? But it's not brain surgery. It's just selling a house, right? So it's visual. The other rule, upgrades and repairs, don't replace mechanics. Every house has to have a roof. Every house has to have an AC. Every house has to have windows. Every house has to have a door. If you can avoid it, don't replace them. If you can't avoid it, then you got to do it, right? Roofs leaking through the floor, you got to replace that, right? But if it's just an older roof, got a little bit of life left on it, why are you telling them to replace it? How are you adding value to this property by having them address the mechanics? Oh, your air conditioner was put in 1957, but it still cools the house, right? Take that $6,000 and put that into cosmetics so that the buyer walks in and they fall in love with the house, right? Because a purchase for a property is an emotional decision. So when you're looking at a house to list it for sale, you want to appeal to the buyer's emotions, not to the logic. New roof, new windows, new AC. Well, every house has a roof, windows, and AC. So how much value did you really add for them? None. When we work with buyers, we love the house that has the new roof, new windows, new AC, new front door, right? Why do we love those? Because they just gave us all of that stuff for free. Because none of it, they didn't get $1 back for every dollar they spent. They might have got 75 cents back for every dollar if they're lucky. So don't waste their time. Don't waste their money. You're dealing with visuals. It's visual only on a listing. Think about the emotion involved with the buyer. The buyer is going to live there. They want to love that home. Help that buyer fall in love with that home. Right, what do you need to do? And finally, home staging. Now, when I say home staging, I don't mean necessarily bringing in a home stager. We've done it, and they can be very expensive. But you should have, if you're a realtor, you should have watched enough HGTV that you know how to set up a home to sell it. The number one thing that we focus on when we talk about home staging, besides the decluttering, is flow. Walk through the house and what blocks your flow in the house, right? What's stopping you from getting to one room to the next? Some people put the sofa, in like a large archway, right, to kind of break up the room, but that breaks up the flow. That room needs to flow. If it doesn't flow, then you need to figure out how to get it to flow. How do I get from one room to the next, the next, the next, without having to shimmy around, without having to move around. Not always possible. Sometimes people have a lot of furniture. Well, maybe they need to get rid of some furniture. Maybe they need to put it in storage. You know, maybe they need to figure it out. Look, you want to sell your house for top dollar? Then we need to do the things that are going to sell for top dollar. So, you know, figure out what needs to be done. Every house is going to be different. Every house is going to have its own personality. It's going to have its own set of issues. Our job is to find that personality and find those set of issues and get that figured out for the seller. If you need help, give us a call, reach out. We're always here for you, right? End of the day, they signed the contract, they didn't sign the contract, whatever it is, right? We hope they signed it, but if not, you know, figure out how to handle those objections. How are you handling commission? What's your commission? 6%. Maybe it's 6.5. Maybe it's 7. Right? Don't. So speak with confidence, man. My commission's 6%. Will you take 4? No. Why won't you take 4? Well, what's your value? How much are you worth? Right? Like, think about yourself from the seller's position. You're sitting across the table from an agent. What's your commission? I don't know. Like, I could probably do it for like 4.5. I think. Yeah, I'll do it for 4.5. Will you do it for 4? Okay, I'll do it for 4. Do you want that person negotiating on your behalf? Right? Or do you want the person, what's your commission? It's 6%. Will you do it for 5? No, it's 6%. Right? That's a person that you want negotiating on your behalf, because if somebody's going to give away their money, right? I'm just going to give away all my commission up front. Are you even going to fight for the seller's commission? Is there even a battle? Like, you're giving away all your money. Yeah, do it for 4.5. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Fight for your money, man. Right? What's the number one objection on a listing appointment? It's the commission. Well, I have another agent that's going to do it for this. Okay, but that agent's not me. Right? And find your value. Value yourself. And regardless of what happens, right, regardless of what it is, whether you get a signed contract or not, know what your next step is. Right? You get the signed contract, then you better start your marketing plan right away. If you don't get the signed contract, then you better have your follow-up plan figured out. Right? Whatever it is, know what your next steps are. All right, let's pause here real quick. Does anybody have any questions, any thoughts, anything to add? Do you get like any strategies or techniques that you guys use in a listing appointment that you can share with us?
I was just curious, like if I've done this before, if they want to do 4%, if it's a repeat client, I've said, well, I can do 4%, but only if I'm the one that finds the buyer.
Yeah,
if I'm working both sides. Yeah, then I can give you that break.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's better to walk out with the listing than not. And if it's a repeat customer, then they are going to be probably looking for some preferential treatment. Some of them maybe, some of them not. Actually, we have customers that have bought and sold. I think one customer bought and sold like 8 properties with us, and every time they've sold, we got 6% commission on it, plus our transaction fee.
Okay.
Right. And then there's other customers that say, come on, I gave you this, I gave you that. Well, if it's a past client, they're near and dear to our heart, right? So we treat them like friends and family. But at the end of the day, I think you should still fight for your commission. Hide behind the broker. Well, my broker doesn't let me go below this.
Okay.
My broker won't, they won't do this. But you need to know your value. At 4%, I mean, how much are you giving the other side? Right? And then how much are you taking? Are you giving 3 and you're taking 1? Are you giving 1 and you're taking 3? I'm going to tell you what we do, what I do, what I advise the agents on our team to do. If it's a 6% commission, we take 3.5.
Okay.
We give 2.5 to the other side. And then we have the agents that see it on the settlement statement and they're upset. Well, you agreed to 2.5 when you saw it on the MLS, so I'm not sure what the problem is, right? Be quiet. We don't care. Right? So always fight for your money, man. I mean, we work hard. Lorna, you have a thought? Lorna,
your mic's off.
Mine, I'm talking away. Thank you, guys. I had a couple actually. And maybe you can shed some light on this, but usually, Joe, I do a seller's net proceeds spreadsheet, like it's a one pager thing, and just give them an estimation of what. And then I have three different numbers, what I think in terms of before I get there when I do my CMA. I have the low, the midpoint, and highest point that they could list for. So I have those three numbers there, and then I give them a breakdown. Put in my 6%. I always put in my 6% first. Do the tax proration, any HOA fees, any stuff like that, legal fees, doc stamps, whatever. I put all of that in so they can visualize, they can see it, and they get an understanding of what their net proceeds would end up being like. It's an estimate, of course. So I do that. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. But that's something that I always do for them, and I find that it goes a long way as well.
Yeah, that's actually part of our CMA, what we do, and that'll actually be covered when we do the CMA training, the seller's net sheet. But yeah, we definitely do that, and we high, middle, and low, and then depending on the direction of the conversation, like sometimes if they're going to be tough, I'll bring 5 or 6 of them with me, and I don't show them all of them. Right? Like there's no reason to show them everything. You don't, just because you bring it to a listing presentation doesn't mean that you need to show it to them on the listing presentation. Right? Always be over prepared, right? Whether you think you're going to need it or not. And there's times where, like it wouldn't serve me to show them the low end of what that seller's net sheet says. We actually have an Excel spreadsheet in Trello with our template for the seller's net sheet. Again, it's totally editable, customizable. It's already got all the formulas in there already. So you put your numbers in, boom, it's done. Also on our website, Extrav Agent, like extravagant, but it's Extrav Agent. We don't push that website so much, but that's going to have a lot of our tools on there as well. That way, if you're on the spot, you can just go to that website. But yeah, 100%. In your comparable market analysis, at the end of it, you're definitely going to want to give them the net sheet. If you sell it here, then you get this much. If you sell it here, then you get this much, right? And then break it all down. Just make sure that you explain it to them well and that your data is accurate, because we've had sellers that hang on to these things to closing and they compare them to their settlement statement. And I learned that not the hard way, just like in real life. And luckily my numbers were right, but like we've had a seller before that, wow, that was your net sheet was actually pretty close. It was only off by a few $100s. That's impressive. Right? So just make sure your numbers are right and you're calculating everything in there correctly, right? Tax prorations you mentioned, really important. If they've got 2 months left until they have to pay on their taxes, that's going to be a different number than if they just paid their taxes.
Right.
So yeah, that's.
But what I normally do is I normally do the higher end of everything, and when I go in there, I tell them, "Hey, listen, this is just an estimate," so they understand. So I do that disclaimer, "Hey, this is just an estimate," but I always do the higher end of every single number. So either way, my number is going to seem, it's going to be over exaggerated anyways. One of the things that I do is there's a 2-page pre-listing qualification thing that I have, paper that I use to pre-qualify them. So there's certain questions that I ask them because there's certain expectations that I like to set before I actually get to the listing presentation. And I think a lot of times too, there are just some clients who they want an update every single day or every 2 hours. They want you to call them to go, "Oh my gosh, how is my house going? Have you sold it yet? Like, how many people have seen it?" And there are others who, they don't really care about that. They just want to know, do you have an offer or whatever, so on and so forth. So there's some questions embedded in there that, allows me to be able to set the expectation before I get to the listing appointment. And also what I do is I have this one sheet that I provide to all of them that says how to prepare your home for the professional photos. So it gives them a list of just different things that they need to be aware of to prepare their home. So when we come there with the photographers, because trust me, I've gone to some listings, even though I've left the sheet, and I say, "Hey, this is what you need to do." And oh my gosh, I have to be washing dishes from the sink or making the bed or something. And there's always something. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, we've been stuffing things in cabinets and throwing stuff in closets, and you're like running around. Luckily, the photographers that we use, they're super helpful. They've moved furniture for us as well. So, yeah, the questions that we went over, the pre-qualifying, that we actually in Trello. So we took kind of the most important ones. But if you look into Trello, there's a lot more questions that we would ask, right? Like, kind of digging deeper into those. But those were like the more broad and maybe the more important questions. And we always want to put the important questions first, because they may run out of time, or they might just say, oh, we can talk when you get here. Everybody's different. If you're dealing with a CEO, it's going to be a different conversation than if you're dealing with an accountant. The CEO is going to want you to get to the point. Get it over with. Come on. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Right? An accountant's going to want details. Right? What about this? 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 I am more of like the CEO style person. So when I'm sitting on the other end of the table with an accountant, it kind of drives me crazy, because I don't want to go through all the details. I'm like, here's your facts. Let's just move on. Right? But we just have we have to factor that in. So, does anybody else have any thoughts or any other questions? All right, nothing. Let's move on to the second part of the other type of appointment that we're going to set. Buyer consultation. Right. So we talked about what we're doing when we go in on a listing presentation. Now we're going to talk about our buyer consultation. Should you do a buyer consultation? Right. You get a lead. Let's say it's from, I don't know, one of the online websites, Realtor.com, and they want to see a property. 123 Main Street. Do you qualify them? Do you do anything in that appointment? This is how we do it. We don't qualify them on that first phone call. We don't say, are you pre-approved? Are you cash? How long have you been looking? The only thing we ask them is, do you have an agent right now? You don't want to step on another agent's toes, and you certainly don't want to if they've signed a buyer agency agreement. Other than that, we don't ask them anything. Yeah, that property's still available. I'm available today at 5 o'clock or tomorrow at noon. Does one of those times work for you? Boom, I'll see you there. Follow up in the morning. Hey, we have an appointment today at noon. Does that still work for you? Yeah, okay, see you there. Boom. Qualify them at that showing. Get in front of them. Right? Become human to them. Be a real live person standing in front of these people. Don't just be a voice on the phone. Right? Be a real person. After you've met them, after you've whatever, hey, look, maybe you do the consultation right there. But what is a consultation, right? Same thing in Trello. If you go on there, you're going to find the questionnaire that we put in there. It's not the most important thing. The questionnaire is going to get all of their details, all of their information, all of their contact. It's going to get everything that we need to know about them. The most important part of your buyer consultation, the most important part of our buyer consultation, we like to do them in person. And we need Wi-Fi, we need a computer or a tablet with us, is once they filled out that sheet, we're going to transfer that data over to the MLS. And we're going to do an MLS search right there in front of them. And we're going to set up their automated email campaign right there with them. Okay, you said you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, Coral Springs, Coconut Creek, Margate, Tamarack. Your budget's $450,000. You don't need a pool. You would like to have a 1-car garage, but it's not necessarily a mandatory thing. You don't have any pets, and you don't have any kids, so you don't care where the school district is. Okay, great. Based on that, we just came up with, 130 properties. You're going to send them 130 properties? No. You're going to narrow that search down even more. Okay, what else can I ask them to narrow this search? Right? Oh, your work. Okay, yeah, you want to be near your work. Okay, now we're down to 80. What else can you ask to narrow the search? Oh, you go to synagogue. You must be near synagogue because you have to walk there. Oh, wow. Now we're down to 30. That's a reasonable number to start filtering through with them. Right? Okay, let's go through these properties. What do you like about these photos? What don't you like about the photos? Right? These are times where you can handle the objections. These are times when you can give those buyers a little bit of education before you've spent, hours driving around looking at properties and just completely and totally wasting your time and energy. Right? Don't burn your gas before doing this. Don't go out and just show properties to people randomly because they said they like them, right? Filter through them. Talk to them. What about this one? What do you like about it? Oh, I like that. I like the big backyard. Oh, Is a big backyard important to you? Oh yeah, it definitely is. Oh, you didn't tell me that detail. What if you took them to go look at a bunch of small backyards? Wasted your time, right? Oh, I like that it has a tile roof. Oh, you like tile roofs. Are you okay with the shingle roof? Yeah, I'm okay with it. Okay, cool. Right, now we can look at those. Doesn't matter, right? But you need to take the time to sit with these people before taking them to their first showing. Okay, we got to the buyer consultation. We figured out what the what the criteria is they're looking for. Set your first appointment right there. What's your top 5 properties that you want to see right now? These 5, great. When are you available to go look at them? Tomorrow at 4 o'clock? Perfect. Let me work on setting them up. Is the consultation done at that point? No. Right? Your in-person consultation is done. Your in-person consultation is definitely done. Right? But when you go on that first appointment, almost certainly you missed something. Almost certainly they didn't share a detail with you. So now you're listening to them. Oh, I don't like carpet in the bedrooms. Oh, shoot, I should have asked them that. Right? Educate them a little bit. Well, it's pretty easy to tear up carpet, put down a different floor. I don't want to deal with that. Okay, now you know. Now you have to deal. I don't like blue walls. Pretty easy to paint. I don't want to deal with that. Okay. Or I don't like blue walls. Pretty easy to paint. Oh, yeah, that's true. We'll just get somebody to paint it afterwards. You're listening to them, right? You're digging deeper. You're trying to figure things out. You're trying to, right? All of these things are going to make your job and your life easier. Because as you're going through, if they don't like carpet in the whole house, it's a non-starter for them. The first 3 times you go out, you show a bunch of houses with carpet, you just wasted all of your time. Maybe their time, and maybe now you lost them because you're just not very good at listening or asking questions. Get really good at asking questions. When you're working with buyers, what didn't you like about this house? What this? What that? Right? Whatever it is, you're working on it. You're refining it, right? And walk them through the process. So, what else are you doing? Next step is you're going to take them through the process. We have this in Trello as well. It's like 60 pages. You can give them the whole buyer process. We've broken it down into 9 steps. Get in pre-qualified. What do you do when you're under contract? What do you do before closing? Right? It takes them through the 9 most essential steps to getting themselves set up. Right? You can find that on Trello. If you want it, great. If not, then come up with your own. Doesn't matter. This is also editable, customizable. Put your own info. The only thing I'll say is just make sure that whatever info you put in there is true and accurate. Don't put some mortgage info based on a rumor that you heard. Right? Last thing you want to do is misrepresent something or have it wrong, and then you put it in writing and you gave it to somebody. Right? Might open yourself up. So just make sure you know what you're doing if you're going to change any of the information in there. If you see something in there that's old and outdated on our end, let us know, because we always want to have updated info. And then you've done all this, right? They haven't quite found something. Don't give up on them, right? Put them into an auto search. Maybe it's concierge mode, but make sure you're setting up properties regularly. I highly recommend concierge mode because a lot of times, they might say, I don't want a blue house. I don't want, an asphalt driveway. I don't want this. I don't want that. There's things that you can't put into an MLS search that you have to visually look for. So we always recommend doing concierge mode. You can filter through these visually. You can look at them and then only send them the ones that meet their criteria. I don't want an old original kitchen. It has to be white cabinets with a gray slate countertop. Well, you're going to have to look at the pictures because that's not a criteria that we can put into the MLS. So, we always recommend concierge mode. You guys, all right, so that's kind of the end of it with the buyer's consultation, the buyer appointments. Any thoughts, any questions, anything that I missed, any other strategies or tactics that you guys have that you use? No, nobody wants to work with buyers. That's okay. We all want the listings. So what's the conclusion of all of this, right? When you're on the phone with people, when you're at a property showing, when you're doing your lead generate, lead follow-up, showing appointments, close early and close often. If you're following up with people, but you're not closing for whatever that next step is, then you might be wasting your time. If you're not closing, then what are you doing? If you spend 20 minutes on the phone with the customer and you never ask for the appointment, what are you doing? If you're on the phone with the customer for 5 minutes and you haven't asked for that appointment yet, then you're wasting your time, right? Don't waste your time. Don't get in the business of becoming friends with people that are never going to do anything. Becoming friends with people that are going to call you up later. And because you're their friend, now you have to be happy for them that they got a house under contract with a different agent. Close them, right? If you're showing them the right properties, if you're telling them the truth, if you're helping them through a stage in their life, you're doing them a favor. This is our job as real estate professionals. It's to help people achieve what they want to achieve. And if you're not encouraging them to do what you know they should do, then you're not doing your job, right? If you're just, oh, okay, well, whatever. If you showed them 5 properties, they like 2 of them, and you didn't ask them which one they want to write a contract on, you didn't do your job. Because they like 2 of those, they told you they like 2 of the properties, and then you went your separate ways. They're not going to close themselves. Maybe they will, but if they don't, you need to close them, right? Most of the time, they're not going to close themselves because they're counting on you to tell them what's the next step. All right, great, that sounds great. What are we doing now? Right? What's the next step? Right? So this is our job here as professionals, is to make sure that we are closing them when we know it's right. The disclaimer on everything I say, legally, morally, ethically. We don't do anything illegal. We don't do anything immoral. We don't do anything unethical. We don't make a sale for the purpose of just making a sale. Right? We make the sale when we know it's the right thing for that customer. If you list the property and you know that it's worth $300,000 all day, all night, and you list it for $250, and your first offer comes in and it's $240, and you're pushing that seller to take it, even though you know if you wait a little bit more time, much higher offers are going to come in. You're like, I just need to get this done because I need the commission. You did a bad job, man. You did not look out for that client's best interest. We don't make sales just for the purpose of making sales. We don't close early and close often just so that we can get a commission check fast. We close early and we close often when we know it's the right moment. Our job is to take them through the process and do the best job absolutely that we can. And when the customer senses that in you, then the greatest thing in the whole world for a real estate agent will happen. You'll get a customer for life, and that customer will give you more business, and that customer will introduce you to their friends, family, and coworkers that are looking to also buy and sell a home. And you do things the right way for the first few years. Someday you're going to pick up the phone for one of your customers, and they're going to have a referral for you, or they're going to be selling that home that you sold to them. And now your life just got way better, and your job just got a whole lot easier. So make sure no matter what you're doing, that you're looking out for your customer's best interest. We don't have commission breath. We don't work out of desperation. Maybe we are working out of desperation, but we still don't make bad decisions for our customers. We're still there to guide them and be that professional that they know that they can rely on and they can count on to tell them the truth and to get things through, get the transaction through in an honest and fair way. We need to do a great job for our customers, and that will come back to you. Right? If you're new and you need a sale desperately, right? Don't behave in a way that reflects that, right? Let the customer do what you know is right for the customer. And later on, you won't be so desperate, right? But if you do desperate things, even if you get the sale, even if you get the closing, you're not going to have a customer for life. They're going to figure it out. You know, people may not know the process, but later on they'll figure out, right? And maybe they'll cancel. Right? They'll find a reason during the inspection to cancel. Whatever it is, just do a great job for your customers. Don't take advantage. Last thing, a little bit about our company. I never spend a lot of time on this because I'm not an aggressive salesperson, not pushy, but we do have this. If you need leads, if you need a CRM, if you need the follow-up plan, right? This is what we offer in our brokerage, $75 a month. You get, I think there's more than 10,000 leads. Like, there's a lot of leads in there, and there's new ones literally every single day. Buyer, for sale by owner, you want to call it geographic area, you get all that on demand, right? Our online leads, you know, stuff that's already been followed up with by a bunch of agents. You want to call some old leads, some new leads, whatever it is, right? I was talking to an agent yesterday, and you know how I explained it is, you know, we're a small brokerage, but we do a lot more than most small brokerages. We do exactly what a large brokerage does, but at a fraction of the cost, right? Because we're flexible, we're limber. So, you know, that's our offering. Before we end this today, does anybody have any other questions? If you guys have any comments overall?